Hey, it's Kathleen May. I'm an author and a four-time participant in the Muskoka Novel Marathon. This upcoming year will be my fifth year, and I am so excited because last year I won Best Author in the category of Best Adult Novel. So that was incredibly gratifying for me for a number of reasons. Most of all, because my writing immediately got exposure to a publisher and they gave me just really valuable feedback on what I can do to make this novel really go further. In addition to that, before you even get to that process, everyone who submits their novel or their manuscript, whatever it is they're working on, to the judges gets valuable judge feedback too, which, like, if you're a writer, you know how hard it is and how rare it is to get in-depth feedback on your writing by people who love to read, and that's what these judges are. So, there's a little bit of controversy around my submission, which I think is a really interesting story, and I do love to tell it. I don't have hard feelings about it, but I do, uh, I'm one of those people that feels the need to prove themselves, to want to feel validated in what they do. So anyway, so my submission from last year, apparently one of the judges and then another person who wasn't involved in the marathon thought that there's no way I could have submitted this piece, or no way I could have written this piece within the short time frame that we have to write, which is 72 hours. So so basically that's an accusation of cheating, and so I took that very personally for a little bit. And talk to the conveners of the marathon, and they backed me up. They know what I'm capable of, and uh how powerful the flow of the marathon is, and how special that space is. So anyway, so I'm not really, I think it's interesting, right? Like, my submission was so good it was investigated, like so good it had to be cheating. And that in itself is quite a compliment, because it says that I really do have a skill. I have a skill at the intersection of having a brain that works really fast, typing that is fairly fast, and a lack of barrier between the two things, like my brain and my fingers. And I think that for a lot of writers, that's the biggest barrier, is what's going on between the brain and the fingers. That's where we get stuck. And so I did not want to get stuck there. And I developed a series over the course of the 4 years. I developed a series of, techniques to make sure that I don't get trapped in the mindset of not being able to accomplish what I had set out to accomplish. So I now teach a workshop on how to fall in love with the blank page. The blank page isn't our enemy. But that's not what this is about. Anyway, you can go to my website, kathleenmay.ca, if you want to learn more about the workshops that I offer. But right now I want to talk to you about literacy and the Muskoka Novel Marathon, and why it's so important to me and so dear to my heart. So as a young person, writing and reading were my escapes. They were the constant in my life that I had, that regardless of what was going on, I could always slip into these other worlds that were always available to me. And actually, I kind of thought that, growing up, I was waiting for my superpowers. I was waiting to meet vampires. I was waiting for all of these supernatural things to come true, because it was so much a part of my world. Maybe even took up more time than school or family. So I really thought at some point these things are going to come true, right? The aliens are going to land. It's going to happen. So I'm still waiting on the aliens, but maybe not so much the vampires and werewolves and things like that anymore. So it was obviously really important to me to be extraordinarily literate. It was a resiliency in my childhood, and it was one of the things that helped me survive and thrive after childhood sexual abuse. So I know the value of literacy. I know how important it is. I know how much it's benefited me. Uh, my articulateness. Oh, that's so funny. How much that has helped me in the course of my life. And so I want that for other people as well. And the Novel Writing Marathon is a fundraiser for YMCA literacy services. And that part of what that money goes toward is teaching English as a second language to newcomers in our community. And I think that newcomers, people who have fled situations um, in the places where they had considered home, and now Muskoka is their home and Huntsville is their home. I think that's so important that they're here, and it's a wonderful thing, and it helps make our community so much stronger. And whatever a person's need for literacy is, it's never a wasted investment. Literacy is one of the most powerful investments a person can make in themselves and in the other people in their community. So it's vital that we support fundraisers for literacy or anything like that. And so this is my contribution toward that. And I'm not the best fundraiser. But I offer really, really cool perks. So I really want to talk to you about the perks that I'm going to offer if you were to donate to my to fundraise specifically for me. And like if I fundraise $1,000, I get a guaranteed seat at next year's marathon, and that's wonderful. And you get certain perks like picking the best seat at the at the event and things like that. And so that's less important to me than putting together some money for these services that I think are so important. So some of the perks, and forgive me for reading, but I'm going to just let you know what the perks that I'm offering are. So if you donate $5, you get to pick a color, word, or object that I will focus on within an unusual setting in the novel that I'm writing. So all of the perks that I'm offering mean that if you donate money to my fundraiser, you get to choose to be involved in the novel in some way. You get your words or the name that you pick or whatever it is will be inserted into the novel. And last year, this was the best way of fundraising that I managed last year. And it was so much fun, and it was so hard. So all I went into with the marathon was a little bit of information on, how pirate ships work and things like that, and the perks that I had offered. So I had a list of things that people had donated for, like certain colors, names, relationships, subplots, and I interwove them all into my manuscript, and I think I did it fairly seamlessly. And there wasn't any that I couldn't work with. There were some that someone bought or paid for a relationship as part of the perks. Like they could pick like a sister or a lifelong best friends or long lost adopted siblings or anything like that. And so they picked the relationship, but it ended up being a subplot and ended up really taking the story to a new level. So there's actually potential for what you purchase to become much bigger in this story than you may have anticipated. So for $5, you get to pick the color, word, or objects that I'll put within the unusual setting. $10 is a relationship that I'll implement within the story. Like I said, lifelong, besties, whatever it is, be creative. $20 gets a character name or a nickname. So the thing that got complicated about this last year was I wrote within a fantasy setting, and people chose names that were not within my fantastical theme. So I did make it work. Why is my finger? Which finger is that? Oh, it's that one. Sorry. So and I don't know what I'm writing this year yet, so I can't tell you, okay, you can choose a name, but it has to be within the within whatever particular genre. But what may happen is that if you choose that category, the character name or nickname, I may come back to you and say, you know what, here's the genre I'm going with. Can you make that work? Like if it's your own name, which is, put your own name in writing. That's awesome. Why wouldn't you? Then I might ask if I can kind of fiddle around with it to give it that fantastical element. So that's for $20. You get to choose a name or a nickname that I'll use in the story. And it can be your name, it can be your kid's name, it can be your dog's name. All good. Now here's the big one. And I was really surprised by how many people chose this one last year. And I think I got in a little bit over my head, but I'm not changing it. I'm on board with it. I loved it. It's $50. And for $50, you get a subplot. And there can only be so many subplots in a novel, but I managed to weave all of these in last year. And I think it made my story so much stronger. I got to adopt other people's creativity and fuse it with my own. It ended up being really, really special. So I really encourage you, if it's in your budget, and if this subject is just as important to you as it is to me, to pick that one because it's really, really fun. And I also want you to know that you don't have to choose any of these. You can just donate $1 or $2. All of that is all good. I want this to be really accessible. So if you really, 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 anyway, just get in touch with me because I'm really flexible and I completely understand being broke but still wanting to be involved. So don't let that be a barrier. I really want to talk to you regardless if you want to have any degree of involvement in this because it is such a fun project. And so you can, if you donate, so okay, let me get the link to donate. It's not okay, I'm gonna put the link below. So find it that way. You can also go to Muskoka Novel Marathon .com and search for me as a user. I'm there under Kathleen May and Kathleen8686. And you can also contact me at kathleen8686@gmail.com if you want to reach out to me that way, if that's easier for you to do it that way. It is a registered charity, so you will get a charitable tax receipt. So that's awesome. Any little amount, it goes so, so far. And being involved in a creative process, like I know I have a lot of people who they're readers, right? They may not be writers. They're fascinated by the process, or they do their own creative thing in some other way, but they've never had the opportunity to create in this particular way. And so maybe this is your chance to get your name or your idea out of your head and into writing without having to do it yourself. That's pretty cool. And so the marathon is coming up really soon. And we'll be stuck in a room, all 40 of us authors. There are still spaces available from some last minute changes. So if you are interested, sign up to be a writer. And we write for 72 hours straight. And my record for word count is 31,000 words in one day, which was ridiculous. And I'm never doing that again. It will remain my personal best. I'm very content with that. But what I will do is work really hard on creating something that can be adapted into a full-length novel. That's what I want. So thank you so much for watching. I'll put the perks down below too if you wanted to have a better look at what's available to you. And if you just want to support me by giving me a thumbs up or a cheer or just saying go, you go, that's really cool, and I'd be really grateful for that as well. Thank you so much for watching.